What is going on YouTube? Run and Gun Sports back here with another video. Today is our NFL Weekly News Update. Our college football news update will be coming out on Tuesday. So share this, subscribe if you haven't already, and like this. Share this to your friends who love football, and share the channel to your friends who love football, because we have a lot of football to be talking about in the off season and college football. If your friends or a college football friend, we have college football. So just share this to your friends, and let's get right into the video. 3 tight ends have been linked with the Seattle Seahawks and been talking to joining the Seattle Seahawks. Jonnu Smith in 2020, he had 41 receptions, 8 touchdowns. Zach Ertz had 36 receptions, 1 touchdown. Gerald Everett, 41 receptions and 417 touchdowns. Personally, I don't think any of those guys are a good fit for Seattle. I don't think that any of those guys are really that good, and I think they're a little too expensive for what they are. Obviously, they're all within 5 catches of each other, except Jonnu Smith does have 7 touchdowns than those 2 guys each. So we'll see if the Seattle Seahawks do go out and get someone. Greg Olsen just retired, so it should be interesting to see what happened. There's talk of Kenny Golladay being franchise tagged by the Detroit Lions. I think that would be a pretty good move for the Lions. He's a young receiver, really one of their only weapons, and it's just not a good situation right now. They have a new head coach, and I think to keep the young talent around, to turn things around, you got to keep the young talent around, keep them interested in playing for your team, or they're gonna have to offer him some big money at the end of next year, or he's probably gonna be ending up somewhere elsewhere. Former first-round lineman out of the University of Georgia, Isaiah Wilson, put out in a tweet, quote, "I am done with football as a Titan." He played 2 snaps in 2020 and is done with the Titans, obviously only a rookie. One of the snaps was a PAT where he got pancaked, so a big bust for that regard. Isaiah Wilson, I think not as big as a bust as you'd say a quarterback is, because you don't hear as much about linemen, but still, he's a first-round player, and he did not pan out well at all. Kansas City, Las Vegas, and New England are interested and might be making a move for him. I don't think they should, obviously, so we'll see what happens. The Texans relief offensive lineman Sino Clemente. The Packers are expected to let center Corey Linsley go. The Seahawks are showing a huge amount of interest in him. I think it would be a good fit. The Seahawks obviously need a better offensive line. Russell Wilson has clearly gone public about his frustrations. We'll talk more about that in the video, but we've also talked about that in other videos. Russell Wilson was sacked 52 times, the league most. Second place was Carson Wentz with 50 sacks. Deshaun Watson third with 48 sacks, but that's just horrible. You can't have your star, almost MVP caliber player get sacked that many times, and I think Russell Wilson could be an MVP. I know Russell Wilson's an MVP caliber quarterback, but he does not have the offensive line help. He has the receivers, he's Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. I don't think that the receiving is the problem. It's obviously the sacks, and sometimes I will say Russell Wilson does make poor decisions, but he also does not have a good offensive line, and I'm not the one being chased by 6'6", 300-pound guys, so it's not easy for me to say, but sometimes he does not make the greatest decisions. He was overthrowing guys at the end of the season. We'll see what happens. We're going to talk more about the Russell Wilson situation later. Dez Bryant and Willie Snead have become unhappy with the Ravens. Dez Bryant wants to play 2 more years of football, but says he does not want to play with the Ravens. He put on a tweet also, quote, "Baltimore is not the right place for me." So we'll see where Dez Bryant does end up. He is pretty old. He did not do much on the Ravens this last year. I don't know what his value is. I can't imagine it's very much. I don't know who would go after him. Maybe he'd come in to a place like Las Vegas with a few young receivers and sort of mentor those guys. But we'll see what happens. The Seahawks were signing running back Alex Collins, originally drafted to Seattle, then went to Baltimore and is back at Seattle. He was a 5th-round pick in the 2016 NFL Draft. I think it's a good move, honestly. I think the Seahawks, all signs are pointing towards that Chris Carson will not be on the Seahawks next year, which isn't too big of a loss. Chris Carson did not have the best year, but I think that young running backs, we have a few of them. Hopefully, Bo Scarborough comes back healthy after he suffered the injury in the Thursday night loss versus the Arizona Cardinals. And I think Rashad Penny will come into his own. I think he's just young. He only has 2 years in the league, so we'll see what happens. Trade interest for Las Vegas Raiders backup quarterback Marcus Mariota has cooled. The Patriots are the favorite to land him right now. I think that could actually be a decent fit. Marcus Mariota, obviously Heisman Trophy winner in the college level, did not really pan out in the NFL. I think he only won one playoff game, and other than that, he has not done much. Ryan Tannehill took over the job. We'll see what happens. Maybe he'll be the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots next year, and I think he'd be pretty cheap, honestly, a backup quarterback. But I bet you he is making more money than I know for a fact he's making more money than Cam Newton. Russell Wilson, in a meeting earlier this week, quote, stormed out. Wilson has not demanded a trade yet, but if he would be open to accepting a trade to Las Vegas, the New York Jets, Chicago, Dallas, and New Orleans. And I, as a Seahawks fan, it's disappointing. The meeting was about his thoughts of how the Seahawks could get better, and I feel like if we let Russell Wilson's opinions go to waste, then he might walk out on us at the end of his contract, which is not far down the road. And he's the best player on our team, no doubt. He is the reason that we make the playoffs, and if we let him go, it'd just be tough. And I heard Pete Carroll was actually in the meeting. He was there and was kind of blowing Russell Wilson off, not really paying attention to his ideas. So, and he became frustrated, as I would be. I would not want to be sacked the most in the NFL and have your ideas ignored when you really had a chance at the beginning of the season to win the MVP. He was a clear frontrunner for the first 6 weeks. After the Arizona Cardinals lost, it was downhill and just ugly. So we'll see what happens with Russell Wilson. I personally don't see him going anywhere. I hope he doesn't, but maybe he will. Texans remain unwilling to talk to Deshaun Watson about trading. Deshaun Watson would lose $20 million if he sat out the 2021 season. He met with new head coach David Culley, and Deshaun Watson still wants to be traded away from the Houston Texans, and I don't blame him at all. We just put out our team review for the Texans offseason review, and I said in there I think the Texans are in the worst possible spot in the NFL. Just no draft picks, not a lot of negative cap space, and just no talent really, and no motivation from that team at all, and a new head coach. Just a downright bad situation. I think it was a good move to fire Bill O'Brien, though. When he has that much power of a team, it's not good at all, GM and the coach. Jaguars are expected to decline team option on Tyler Eifert. J.J. Watt is shown interest in the Bills and Browns. Those are the top two teams right now. He is expected to land with the Browns. I think it would be a pretty good fit. We'll see if they can make another late playoff push again, just short of the making the AFC Championship versus the Kansas City Chiefs. That was a great game and great time to be a Browns fan, honestly. Adam Humphries, Tennessee wide receiver, was released. Saves the Tennessee Titans $4.47 million in cap space. Talks of Jimmy Garoppolo and a Cam Newton trade are in the books right now. In 2020, Jimmy Garoppolo had 67.1 completion percentage, 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Cam Newton in 2020 had 65.8 completion percentage, almost 2,700 yards, and 20 total touchdowns, 12 on the ground and 8 on the in the air. So we'll see if that does happen. I don't really see that happening personally, but maybe it will. Jimmy Garoppolo obviously was Tom Brady's backup. He came to the game where Tom Brady was suspended for the first 4 games of the season and really lit it up out there, and that's why he is at San Francisco right now and why he led them to the Super Bowl. I think people are too quick to judge Jimmy Garoppolo, but maybe I'm wrong. So, Seattle Seahawks, per ESPN report, says Carlos Dunlap is unlikely to return to Seattle unless he takes a pay cut, and it does not sound like Carlos Dunlap will be taking a pay cut. That's a very big loss for the Seahawks. Once Carlos Dunlap came over to Seattle, their defense really boosted. You could see it definitely. I don't think the problem's on the D-line anymore. I think it's the DBs. You got a lot of young, inexperienced guys. Shaquem Griffin is a free agent. We'll see if he does go somewhere. I think we could develop him, but also there's time, and it's running out, really, honestly, and our defense has not been good in a while. I'm surprised Ken Norton Jr. wasn't fired. Our defensive backfield was terrible all throughout the season. Luckily, for the first couple games in the season, first 5 games, the offense was just on fire. There's a ridiculous amount of points being scored, which helped the defense not play as well. But when we faced the Buffalo Bills, it was a big blowout loss because the Bills have a good defense, and they just lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. So the Seahawks need to get better on defense, and I think that they could be back to contending in the Super Bowl, honestly. The Texans release running back Duke Johnson and offensive lineman Nick Martin. Nate Soldier intends on rejoining the Giants in the 2021 season after opting out of the 2020 season due to COVID-19. The Seattle Seahawks guard Mike Iupati announced his retirement earlier this week after 11 seasons in the NFL. We wish him the best of luck in retirement, whatever he decides to do. That is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have not, please subscribe, like, and comment down below. Thanks.